And hello, everyone. Let me just go make sure that all the notes get posted and shit.
All of the no.
And we're gonna shamelessly self-promote my link everywhere. Nope. Tell your wife.
Shameless promoting, that's completely fine. The shameless at everyone, that's the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should also have your stream open up on the other monitor,
Yes.
both both so that you have an extra view and also so that I can see chat if it has questions.
So you can see the chat. So true.
Ew, Twitch is playing ads on me. Yucky.
Oh no! You got ads on Twitch? If only there was a way to not have ads on Twitch.
Wow, is there a free way for me to not get ads on this channel?
Well, it turns out if you have Amazon Prime, you have one free Prime sub per month. Just send me your Prime sub and you'll never have ads on my stream. Thumbs up.
Actually, you know what? Hold on. Do I have Amazon Prime still, or did I cancel that?
Honestly, I do not blame you for canceling Amazon Prime. It's kind of a scam.
Well, no, I haven't ordered anything on Amazon in a while, so I feel like I would have canceled it recently. But I was gonna say, I don't really use Twitch much anymore. So if I had a Prime, I might as well give it to the homie, but I don't think I have a Prime. Sorry about that.
Unfortunate. So I finally checked my like Twitch payout the other day, and I was not
Mhm.
expecting to have anything. And it was like, oh, it had already sent you 70 some dollars to your PayPal directly. And I was like, what the fuck? I didn't realize it just auto sends it. I thought I had to like agree to let it do that. But I was like panicking about paying some credit card bill, and then I checked my PayPal. I'm like, why do I have money in my PayPal right now?
Hell yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it's like if it's less than $20, they won't send it until you request it, but if it's like more than $20, then they'll just send it at the end of each month regardless.
okay, that makes sense.
I might be wrong about the cutoff, but I think that's the approximate
It's
system.
been a while since I read over the affiliate um stuff, so yeah, definitely interesting. Um, okay. We're just gonna get into this. If people join chat, people join chat. But at the end of the day, like we're here to have this on the record and get it done. It's Jileja.
Where is Jalaja?
Okay. Intro time. Hello, everyone. I'm Jortson. You probably know me if you're on this channel. If you don't know me, you're a lucky bastard. Uh, my guest today is Mr. Kilehka. Um, a lot of pseudonyms you've had in the past, but long story short, you are the creator, the mastermind, the whatever you want to call yourself behind this new draft format that we're going to talk about today. And it's been a lot of work in the running to get here, and so we're really excited to show it off. And I'm really excited to give you like the platform to talk about it and just be basically be your interviewer today. Um, so yeah, if you want to introduce yourself, get right into it. We don't really have any huge intros outside of that.
Yeah. I'm Kilehka. I'm the mod of the 1 Trillion Lions server, as well as the original idea creator of this kind of format, and the one who has been babying this idea for the last few years. Um, I see that question. I'll get to it. But yeah. So this format has been brewing for a while, but in the last few months specifically, we've really been pounding out the specifics, and I am excited to talk about it.
Yeah, no.
Um,
I know I've been working with you behind the scenes on this cube for a while, and there's a point where I was like, I just had very different opinions on a lot of things than you and some of the other mods had, and I was like, look, I want to support this, but I got to stay out of the nitty gritty of this because I think like I want this to be your own thing and not my thing. And after seeing all the work that you guys have done, I think it's really come together. I'm too opinionated. Yeah, exactly. I'm too opinionated.
yeah, and that's I will say, like even within just me and the other guys, there's been a lot of design philosophy changes where like there are many things, even in terms of the restricted moves. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but if you scroll down a little bit to restricted moves, I was fought on every single one of these.
Yep.
Where every time I was like, "Hey, I want to restrict this thing because I think it is meta centralizing," and every single one was like, "No, that's a terrible idea. We shouldn't do that." And I kind of went like, "All right, I hear you. Let's try it out.
What's
Let let's
the
just let's just see how it feels to try it."
what's that
And
Nick Fury quote of like, I have taken into consideration your opinion, but because it's a dog shit opinion, I'm ignoring it. Um,
yeah, uh, and so far to date, I even have NN Plus on record saying this.
oh no, oh we're already
Every
starting the NNS Plus slander. Oh, it's gonna be a good stream.
every single thing where I've been like, this is my design philosophy, let's try this thing, and the guys were like, no, that's a terrible idea. They have been convinced completely on every single avenue. Anyways, so that's aside. Let's basic description. What is cube?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cube Cube is a style of draft typically associated with TCGs,
Like Magic the
where
Gathering.
like Magic the Gathering, although I do believe I know it exists in Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'm assuming it exists in Pokemon and other trading card games.
I think
But
it
the
can
idea,
exist in any card game. It's just a matter of if the community has actually gone out of the way to do it. Um,
yeah, player base is a big part of that. Um, but long story short is that for most card games, legality is either based on sets or it's just kind of everything is legal since the release of this game. And typically, card games have very poor management in terms of either set balancing or like power scaling and power creep, that kind of thing. And so the idea of cubes in TCG is they say we want a certain level of power, we want a certain level of consistency, and we want to let certain strategies shine. Or we want to have certain themes. And so rather than having a format that is based on a set release or on just all of the cards that have ever been released, we are going to say everything is banned except for the set that we are making. We're effectively just making a set release from scratch using all of the cards that have ever existed, and these are the only things that are legal. And since we can design it from scratch, we can do whatever we want.
yeah, exactly. So I think like the this became a big controversy back in Generation 8 when they introduced Dexit, as a lot of people called it, where all of a sudden a bunch of Pokemon were not actually able to be played in Sword and Shield. And this has kind of continued since. But it's kind of the issue of how like standard rotation works in Magic the Gathering, where there's just so many Pokemon in the format that there comes a point where you have to say, okay, like we need to like limit the number of Pokemon because it's just too much to take in. Um, and so this is kind of like So the formats like national decks are kind of like the legacy equivalent, or like older format equivalent of Magic the Gathering, and this cube is very much so in the same vein. It's like, okay, we're making a draft format, but we're only having like these specific cards that I've handpicked to be in it, as opposed to just a draft booster. Um,
Yeah. And the idea is because there's not 1,000 Pokemon, it's a lot easier to craft specific counters. Like, for example, if you take a look at the cube list, overall the power is a lot lower. However, we could put Dracovish into this format, and it's so much more powerful than everything else. But if we had 6 water-absorbed Pokemon in the format, then every player could get a water absorber, and the fact that Dracovish is so much more powerful than everything else doesn't actually matter. It
mhm.
still has its avenue of being strong and it can be good, but it isn't by default gonna overshadow everything else.
Yeah, and like obviously that can apply to any power level of Pokemon, like be it weak or strong. And it's just a matter of making sure that the cube can support the Pokemon that are in it. And it's obviously like this is the first time we've done something like this. So starting with a weaker power level means you're less likely to run into um, issues with things being too strong. And then if it's successful, you can kind of say, okay, now we can try to up the ante and have a bunch of really powerful Pokemon that have very dedicated checks available in the cube. Like for example, like this cube, you might look at this and say these mons are all really weak, but there's also some nasty monsters in here like Camerupt or um, what was the one I was thinking of just a second ago? The rock dragon type Tyrantrum, right? Those are two Pokemon that are nasty wall breakers that in a lower power format, if there's not dedicated checks to them, they will just run away with games. And so if, for example, we play this cube and we identify that, oh, these two Pokemon that would be nasty breakers were well managed, then it's kind of like a signal that we can try this with more powerful things and more out there uh, levels of mixed up cube ones.
Yeah, and that's so to build on that, but also to answer Roy Snover's question from earlier, there's kind of two avenues of we play this season, then do we continue with this list and slightly tweak it each season to make it more and more balanced, or do we make more cubes? Do we
Yeah.
like use half of this cube and then put a new theme on it? And the answer is kind of I want to do all of them.
If there's one thing
Where
I know about Magic Cube players is that they always want to try a new cube and they always want to improve their existing cube. Um,
yeah,
Even if someone's
eh,
like, "Yeah, this is the best like vintage power level cube I've ever played," they're still like, "Oh, but what if I added this new card to it? Oh, but what if I took out this card because no one actually drafted it? Oh, what if I made a new cube that was Pauper power level as opposed to modern or legacy power level?" Right? There's always people who are like when they when you play cube, you are always thinking about like what changes you can make to it, and this is like I think a perfect example to that question we had earlier was, yeah, we are definitely going to be thinking about what changes we can make, and it's just a matter of like we've never done a Pokemon format like this. We want to see what happens and base our opinion off of that. We can't make any promises before we know if it's going to work or not.
yeah, and that's kind of one of the things is with the primary idea of the cube and why we built it being that we want to create a genuinely balanced and fun experience where all of the Pokemon are equally or almost equally viable. Um, there's an element of you wanna do take that to its extreme. You play it and you go, well, this was pretty balanced, but there's still like a couple of outliers. There's still some things that
Or
are too weak,
yeah, like this
and
is
so
pretty
you
balanced, but like God, I did not enjoy playing against Delphox. Like
yeah, and so there's that element of I do want to refine this because I do want to create that ideal of being a perfectly balanced. But I also want to create multiple cubes with multiple themes. I want to create one that is a super high power cube and yet is still balanced based on the crafting of the checks and balances. I also want to create one where it's like the theme of this cube is that rock types are the core meta and everything is built around rock types.
Hmm.
Um
I actually wanted to
and
mention this before I forget. Um,
yeah.
So a big thing about Pokemon as a game franchise is that there has almost never been a balance of types in the mainline games because naturally there's a lot of inspiration for water type Pokemon because there's so many fish in the sea, literally, and there's not a lot of inspiration or not. There's other types that are much more limited for power level reasons, like dragons and fairies are often not as common because they're more magical and mythical and hard to obtain. And so having a cube where you get to pick and choose what's in it lets you kind of get around some of those inherent flaws with how Pokemon is designed as a game first and then a competitive format, like almost not at all. And so, like, we can say, oh, there's more water types than any other type in the game, but we can only have like 4 or 5 of the best water types in our format. And now there's no longer this weird, like, um, what's the term for it? Wealth of choice that you would
Yeah.
usually have looking for a water type.
And that'll get into a little bit of what we talk about later of the considerations of what went into it. But that type distribution in this cube, there is no type with less than 7 mons, and there is no type with more than 9 mons. Um, Most of them are specifically 7 or 8, but if I remember correctly, I think there's one type with exactly 9 mons, but that might have been corrected. So overall, the distribution is very even.
Yeah, and like this is like our playtest, our first time doing this type of format, and so it makes sense to kind of have that balance from the get go. And then if we see this and we're like, oh, you know what? Actually, it's kind of lame having a perfect balance. We want to have like we want the format to be really focused on fire versus water versus grass. So um, we can do that later as well.
Yeah, and that kind of goes into the themes of different cubes I want. And so to go back to the original question that was asked, I don't know how often Pokemon will be rotated out. I imagine every season will involve some amount of tweaks or introducing a new cube, but I cannot say how often it'll be one or the other. I know that I want to do both, but I don't know when that'll happen.
Well, and even to kind of like open up the conversation in the door for this, we like as the mod team, me, you, and then plus and Ozzy, as we were discussing this, we were like, okay, we want to let you have your format, but once we set the groundwork for this, literally anyone can say, hey, I've made a format. Take a look at this, and we can say, oh, yo, do you want to run this? We can help you. We've done this before. So like, say for example, I'm like, you know what? I disagree with a bunch of your Pokemon on here. Why is Garbodor legal? That mon sucks. I hate Garbodor. And I can say I'm gonna make my own cube with blackjack and hookers. And I can go do that. Because the frame by doing this, we're setting the framework where like you just pick the Pokemon, you pick the like bans and unbans, and say go wild, right? So hop off Garbodor Pro.
Yeah, and that's actually that even that is part of why I wanted to talk about the considerations that we put into the Pokemon, because I do think using this format, if you just wanted to make a cube, it is extremely easy. If you want to make a good cube, it is much more difficult than even I was expecting.
Oh yeah, and like,
Um,
there's no guarantee that this is quote unquote a good cube once we get like people who have entirely different opinions playtesting it and playing against each other and competing in it. Like once you like have a new set of eyes on it, they might see something that you never thought was like exploitable. So
for sure. What is a pick ban season?
I feel like it's you pick a Pokemon, ban a Pokemon. It's probably
It would need to be a much larger cube to account for
yeah,
that,
or even
or
just like
less
a regular
players
draft.
per cube.
But Like
Yeah,
imagine
that could
imagine
be
like
interesting.
you're in a format where you pick Iron Valiant and then ban Coco.
I mean, wouldn't it be you pick Iron Valiant and then ban whatever is the best counter to Valiant?
I mean, yeah, but like there's ability like there's not really one easy counter to Iron Valiant because let's not get into Iron Valiant slander right
You know
now.
what I meant. Like
I
it's
know.
you pick the Dracovish and you ban the best water absorber, whatever.
Oh, well, I should probably cross post stream link in that other server. Anyways,
Uh,
you go. Let's not talk about Iron Valiant because I'll be here all day once I get going on that.
yeah.
It's not gonna be
Anyways,
good.
back to cube overview. So we talked about what cubes were in context of TCGs, but in the context of Pokemon, um, it's about effectively building our own decks from scratch. That is again taking the idea of crafting an experience, crafting a power level, crafting a mix of threats and checks to those threats. But additionally, we also introduced restricted moves and items, where the idea is many Pokemon are directly influenced in competitive viability based on all of these moves. For example, before boots were a thing, Moltres was inherently less viable just because Stealth Rocks existed. And
Well,
if you
and
wanted to use it,
I wanted to say a classic example of Moltres going from zero to hero is our friends in the NHL league. Um, we just finished playing Generation 6, and I was on the Abomasnow team where we had a Moltres on a roster. And because it's quad weak to rocks, because there's no boots, because there's no way to like get around that, it was just unbringable in so many matchups. And oh, my green screen's messed up. Okay, 1 second. Um, but yeah, it's like, and there's a bunch of examples like that where we've seen Pokemon that were basically impossible to use in early generations, and now with the advent of boots and other items and other removal options, have seen a resurgence.
yeah, and that's so the one of the things I was most firm on was restricting hazards because going back to the idea of whether it's a set release or it's a Pokemon generation, they don't come out balanced. Is move distribution is wild. There are so many Pokemon with hazards that you rarely even have to consider it much while building, because if you build whatever the fuck you want, you likely have a couple of hazard setters. You likely have at least one remover. Um, and the distribution of it means any Pokemon that is negatively influenced by hazards existing is looked at through the lens of hazards being omnipresent, and any Pokemon that really rely on like hazards being around in order to be viable also need to handle the fact that removal is omnipresent. It's on every single team. It's slapped on everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so the idea of restricting it but not banning it is that we have probably 30 different Pokemon in the cubes with stealth rocks. But there are only 8 Pokemon in the cube that is actually able to click a hazard move, and there is variance in what those hazards are. So for example, we have exactly 3 stealth rock setters.
Is it not
We
four?
have you're correct. We have exactly 4 stealth rock setters, and we have exactly 4 non-stealth rock setters. Um, 3 of them set T spikes, and 3 of them set regular spikes.
Oh yeah, because all these stealth rock cutters don't have access to spikes.
Yes, none of the stealth rock setters set any kind of spikes, and Kofa Grigus is the only one that sets T spikes, but not regular spikes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I want to say Golisopod gets spikes, but not T spikes, although that might be wrong. I'm
No, I'm
just
pretty
basing
sure
that
that's
off
true.
memory.
Also, pretty sure it gets
Uh,
only regular spikes.
but so by restricting it, not only are we giving these Pokemon more viability and more of an identity that they would have potentially struggled to have on their own. For example, Garbodor is kind of ass, but if Garbodor is your only option for setting hazards, you kind of have a reason to draft Garbodor now.
I mean, Garbodor is
And
definitely not the worst poison type that does something but says T spikes, but it is certainly one of them.
its stats are pretty tough. But that aside, so like limiting hazards, I think makes it so hazards aren't omnipresent. They are not something that every draft will even have because not everybody wants to draft something that's kind of a shitter. And
But
in
when everyone's a
return,
shitter, no, if no one is, you know, like
uh,
it's the inverse of when everyone's super, no one is.
and in return, because hazards are much less universal, removal is also much less universal. Where if everybody who could learn defog gets to bring defog, then the ratio is overwhelming and hazards become a non-issue. So instead of becoming relevant but not omnipresent, they just become irrelevant. So you restrict the hazards, you restrict the removal, so that hazards is still an interesting aspect of gameplay. It's the same reason we are also restricting heavy duty boots, where um, you have, if your opponent puts thought and draft space into hazards, you actually have to play the hazards game with them. You can't purely ignore it.
Yeah, exactly. And limiting heavy duty boots, I think there was probably at some point in the conversation where we just said, do we just outright ban heavy duty boots as an item? And then it's kind of funny seeing our boy Skull not Scolipede. Oh, how am I
On your
blanking?
screen. It's on your screen.
It's on my screen. I know it's on my screen. Whatever. Our boy Quad Week to Rocks.
Scorch.
Scorch. Damn. I got skill dipped. Scorch is now like, if you ever play a matchup with Rocks and you don't have access to heavy duty boots, you're never bringing it. And now it's like, well, Scorch is like now very bringable, and because there's such limited users of Stealth Rocks, you're probably not even going to run heavy duty boots half the time because you don't have to worry about hazards. Like, you're not going to run heavy duty boots on it just because your opponent has a spike setter, right? So
Yeah. And that's, if you have Scorch and you have one of the Stealth Rock setters, that means only a maximum of 3 out of your 5 opponents can have a Stealth Rock setter.
yeah, so
So,
I did want to briefly mention, for this cube, there's only 6 players, and they have to take 10 Pokemon. So there's 4 Stealth Rock setters, and there's only 6 there's 6 players.
uh, So to Royce Never's question, why not just ban Stealth Rocks and let Spikes be the one hazard? Is because we actually Stealth Rocks are an interesting piece of strategy, and we actually do want to involve them. And similarly, Spikes can also be just as oppressive, where it's not type based, but like for different roles. If you have a more stally defensive team, Spikes is actually going to be a bigger impact on you than Stealth Rocks. So the idea is that we enjoy the strategy and possibilities of all of the different types of hazards, except sticky webs. We don't really care to fuck with that. Um, so we want the strategies to be involved, but we want it to be an intentional decision rather than something that you just have access to by default and everything has to deal with by default.
And I will say, I feel like there's a lot of room where if you wanted to make a cube where the only hazard is spikes, and you wanted to play like very Gen 3 style um, hazard games, you could do that. You can make your own format, make your own cube where everything is focused around spikes in the hazard game.
For
Um,
sure.
there's lots of support to do. No, there's definitely a lot of room for that type of um, game design, and because there's so much history of Spikes Wars with Gen 3 and even Gen 2, I think as well, you can like have flying types and ground types and spike setters be like how the metagame revolves around itself.
Mhm. Um, but other than hazards, The main two restrictions that people would probably be surprised by are Toxic and Scald. I have very strong opinions about these moves. I think they are absurdly meta centralizing. Where, like, for example, if you have a strong water type and your opponent has a hard counter, but that hard counter is a physical attacker, you fundamentally have to play differently because if you just immediately switch in, you have a 30% chance that your hard counter isn't a hard counter anymore. And that similar to stealth rocks, there's an element where sometimes that strategy can be cool, but often that means an offensive Pokemon can erase its own checks just by virtue of hitting the 30%. And defensive Pokemon can become overwhelmingly defensive as a result of hitting the 30%. So having that be the de facto go-to water move for every water type Pokemon is too centralizing. And I hate the move with a passion.
Yeah, in a similar vein, I'm a big fan. This is a very controversial format because I think there's been a lot of people who have ran it as a draft format and it has not been properly balanced or treated appropriately. But I'm actually a big fan of Gen 9 Paldea Dex formats. And one of the biggest things in Paldea Dex formats is that Toxic is severely limited. A lot of Pokemon that, just always slap Toxic on as their fourth move don't have access to it. And so it adds a lot more of like, okay, I have to be careful about thinking about who I draft as a Toxic setter, and I can't just win Stall Wars by clicking Toxic on my random Mon that really shouldn't have access to it. And so similarly, limiting Toxic means that if you are in a defensive matchup, you have to actually think about what you're doing to beat that matchup outside of just slapping Toxic on as your fourth move.
Yeah, and that's toxic. It is another one where if you exclude type immunities because of poison types or steel types, it is the single most universal catch-all where every type of Pokemon wants to run it and it solves every type of problem. If you lack coverage to hit your opponent, Toxic will solve your problem. If your opponent is an offensive setup threat and you don't have a way to deal with it, Toxic will solve your problem. If your opponent is really thick and you don't have a way to kill them, Toxic will solve your problem. And so it is far too universal in who runs it and who you want to use it against, where I think it removes a lot of the interesting strategic team building decisions. And, when we're talking about having a crafted experience with crafted dedicated checks, toxic means you don't need that.
Yeah, exactly. And I I have opinions on what should and shouldn't get access to Toxic, but I trust that you guys did your testing for this, and so the only user for Toxic is Guzzlord, and I would argue Guzzlord is probably not even going to run it that often because this one has a lot of coverage and a lot of utility attacking moves that are probably more important to run over Toxic, and like one of its best items is Assault Vest, so you don't want to run Toxic on that set because you can't use it. So very interesting that like I would have just said Toxic is banned outright instead of giving it to Guzzlord, or I would have given it to like something that desperately needs to be able to break Stallers. But
Yeah, that
that's
was
what I would do, and this is not my format. I'm just here to basically test it out, play with it, and see what happens.
well, that's definitely so. Toxic and Scald are the ones that we had the hardest time finding users that we actually wanted to have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably the section that will receive the most tweaks in the first time we run through this. But so the reason Guzzlord got it specifically was because Guzzlord's one actual niche is that it has a move to hit everything. It doesn't hit crazy hard, and it doesn't have like a ton of utility. But if you need to hit a steel type, it can hit a steel type. If you need to hit a water type, it can surprisingly hit a water type. And so Toxic being able to universally cover everything actually directly fits into Guzzlord's weird niche of being able to hit everything.
Yeah, like you just look at its move pool. Like it's got fire moves for dragon for steel types. Dragon and dark are pretty good attacking types together, and it also has a lot of poison and steel type moves to hit fairies, which resist both of them. Like gets gyro ball with its slow speed. It gets um, heavy slam, iron head, poison jab. I don't think it gets gunk shot, but I think it gets sludge bomb or something.
It does. I saw it when you pulled up the.
Yeah, or belch even. Belch is a really funny move. So yeah, like the things that would normally resist its dual stab, it has options to hit. The steel types, it has fire moves for, and it's got a bunch of other really random moves that you're like, I guess I can run, earthquake. I guess I can run hammer arm. I guess I can run, I don't know, last resort. No, you wouldn't run that, but or rock slide, right? If they have a quad weak to Rockmon. So
Hmm.
yeah, I kind of see the
Uh,
argument there, but I was definitely like kind of confused because when I looked at the cube initially, I was like, damn, it's a real shame that Salazzle, whose whole niche is getting corrosion, doesn't have access to toxic. But
so Salazzle was actually the number one Pokemon I wanted to give Toxic because it is similarly something where its design actually does match that, and it
mhm.
would have been really nice. It is unfortunately just too fucking broken for the format.
Yeah, and I can kind of see the argument behind that because I've used Salazzle as like a low tier fast fire type a couple times, and it's always been very dangerous as like a nasty plot sweeper. And then your opponent still has to play around the fact that you could be corrosion sub protect. Um, and so, yeah, having that in a lower power level format where like your steals are also not very good at checking that type of set um, makes it a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, and that's we found like even the things that we expected to be extremely reliable dedicated checks, like Colossal, I expected to just be free. Um, because even if it's like a sub-toxic set, you get to run Rock Blast. If you don't fully commit the set to being like Rock Blast and Rest to deal with the toxic, um, it actually will lose to the toxic set. Or the Salazzle will just get its one turn of chip off with Protect, and then switch out, and suddenly the fact that you could check it that one time, it still gets devoured over time. And it just even the things that we thought would be dedicated checks that would be able to handle it weren't able to handle it well enough that
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
could justify it keeping the toxic,
So yeah, definitely
which
an
is very
interesting,
sad.
thought process. And it will be interesting to see how that plays out because I like when I look at this cube, there's a lot of things I'm like, dang, what the heck do I first pick? And like Salazzle, even without toxic, might just be up there for a first pickable in this type of power level cube.
For
So
sure. And that's one of the things that we wanted to do with Smokecube, where we didn't end up getting as many profiles done as we wanted, but the our major priority was kind of like getting profiles done for the strongest, what we expected to be the strongest or most meta-defining Pokemon in the cube. And Salazzle was definitely like high up on that list for all of us.
I'm trying to zoom in on this so it's easier to see. So like this is like a little very similar to if you've ever used Pokemon or Smogon University's webpage where they talk about what a Pokemon can and can't do or what recommended sets it has. I haven't actually looked at this until now. But
Yeah. Actually, if you scroll up just a little bit and you click on Frothlass,
we got a bunch
even though
here.
you don't have editing privileges, you can change it. Not all of those actually have profiles, by the way.
Yeah, but you can still pull up or like Daily here. Is missing a couple of categories of like what you would recommend putting it with, but it's got rocks, it's got recover, and it's got both defensive and offensive utility. With rock grass being a surprisingly good dual type.
Yeah, especially with Storm Drain, there's like a couple of Pokemon that their dual stab get completely wrecked because of the unique combination.
Hmm. Hmm.
Is water immunity relevant? I mean, it's normally neutral to water. Like the grass type is fake because it's also rock type.
I mean, I think maybe in the context of the cube itself, is it relevant? I would say it probably is. Um, what's the like? Tentacruel is a really dangerous utility water type. There is some really harder hitting ones. Um,
So Lantern is actually a good example of a hard hitting one
quote unquote
where
hard hitting.
NN plus every time we ran a test cube, he would draft a Lantern and he would slam a Specs immediately in every matchup. He fucking loves Specs Lantern.
Choice Band
Um,
Wug Trio is actually a mon that is normally almost completely useless, but in a lower power format is the fastest thing and also hits surprisingly hard.
is it Mega Crab? This does not include champions changes, so it is not Mega Crab, unfortunately, and it does not have Mach
This
Punch.
is Gen 9 learn set, not quote unquote Gen 10. Because Champions is technically Generation 10 because it changes learn sets, it removes moves, and it's a whole other can of
Yeah.
worms. So
And actually, so you mentioned Tentacruel as like a utility attacker. Um, but one of the things that I wanted to mention, and part of why I had the idea to do Smoke Cube, is with the restrictions that we have, Tentacruel isn't a utility attacker. It doesn't have spin, it doesn't have T spikes,
I
so
mean,
it does,
it
and
still
it
gets
doesn't have
return
Scald.
knockoff and toxic like sludge bomb type spamming moves, right?
Yeah, it does get some secondary effects,
Like
but
I consider
it's
knockoff to be considered like when I say utility attacker, I mean like it's spamming pivot and knockoff. Like Tornadus, for example, Tornadus Therian runs utility attacker sets.
mhm. And yeah, there are definitely still utility moves left, but I know like on Tentacruel, Rapid Spin, T Spikes, and Scald are like three of some of its most common moves, and it doesn't have access to any of those. And so part of the idea with the Smoke Cube profiles is that everybody has their vision of what a Pokemon is. And what that Pokemon is might not actually be the same in Cube as it is in a regular format. So we wanted to help bridge that gap by recontextualizing what are the roles that it fulfills within this Cube's context.
So I actually wanted to bring up a Magic comparison to this for anyone who has played Magic like vintage or modern level cubes. It's very similar to if you have a card that is affiliated with an infinite combo, but the other half of the combo isn't in the cube. So, for example, Kiki Jiki is a very common uh, infinite enabler in various Magic formats. But if you have Kiki Jiki in a cube and don't really have anything to enable it to go infinite, it is more of a value engine rather than a win the game card. And then there's a bunch of other similar examples you can come up with in like comparisons to Magic the Gathering. But like it's like Tentacruel not having access to Toxic, Scald, and T Spikes and Rapid Spin, right? It's very similar to having a Kiki Jiki in a format without anything that actually combos with it.
Mhm. That's part of why we want to get those profiles. We unfortunately won't be able to get as many as we wanted, even for the start of the season. But we also wanted to kind of just get the ball rolling, where if we create some very similar to Smogon, it actually can be community led, where if there isn't a profile for a Pokemon and somebody wants to write a profile, they can add it as part of the community.
Well,
Um,
I mean, I didn't actually know about this tab until now, so I am more than happy to like throw some of my hot takes in a Smoke Cube version of one of
oh
these
yeah,
because, like, I don't know, say I really like Morpeko, and what? No one's talking about Morpeko here. Well, I need to go off and say Morpeko is broken because it gets Aura Wheel and boosted speed. You know, um,
for sure.
and
And that's there is actually one aspect of the Smoke You tab that will be implemented after this season, but can't be implemented beforehand, which is as part of our marking process this season, we will also be recording the moves and items that each Pokemon is bringing to every game.
Basically, just a
And
collection of the stats of who the players who used it did or what they did with it.
yes, and so one thing that we will be able to add to this SmokeCube page that we can't add right now is pie graphs of like what are the most commonly run items on this? What are the most commonly run
Or
moves?
like even like, we had a player this season who brought they drafted Claydol, and out of nowhere they got a 6-0 with Claydol, right? And you can see the stats of like what happened and how they got there.
Mhm. And that's we also consider things like a pie graph of the Pokemon that most commonly killed this Pokemon. And
It's like, oh yeah, every time that Morpeko was in, it just died to a ground type. How did that happen?
I wonder how that works. And as a general rule, we are just doing a lot more data collection this season so that we can show cool statistics, and so we can actually take a slightly more objective, although still flawed because it's a small data pool,
Hmm.
look at like, does something if something feels strong, is it actually strong? Does the data support that, or is it just feel that way because we haven't figured out the format type thing? And if you take a look at the player template page
Player template here.
and scroll up and to the right,
Let me just right.
we're including some of the data that we already have right now. This data isn't accurate because it's based on random draft picks that I had put into the system for the sake of this template. Uh, but one thing that we want to show is like the average pick. If a Pokemon gets picked and it when it gets picked, it is usually the first pick, then that's an indication that it's a strong Pokemon. Um, if it is very often the last Pokemon picked, then that's maybe an indication that it's a little bit weaker. Included with that, we have draft regularity. So we're intending for 4 cubes to be run. And if a Pokemon is only drafted in one of those 4 cubes, the fact that it got drafted first isn't as big of a deal because in the other 3, nobody thought it was good enough to draft.
Yeah,
Um, and on top of that, we are also including stats for drop regularity. How often do people think this mon looks really good and then halfway through the season go, actually, I'm not really feeling it?
I do feel
How
like the drop and pickup regularity is going to be heavily skewed by certain players who love to make frequent trades for no good reason. So it will be interesting. It'll be really interesting to see the data on that as well.
100%. And that's one of those things that with a small data set, it's not going to be super valuable. But if it once we start getting like multiple seasons under the hood, it's actually going to be reflective of something, and it will be a stronger indication.
But yeah, so I didn't actually know about half this, so this is news to me as well. As I didn't mention this yet, but I am part of the moderating team of the OTL Discord, but I am not currently on the moderators list for this project because as I mentioned earlier, had strong opinions and didn't want to influence your baby here, basically. So I made this meme I think a while ago. Anyone in my Discord server probably saw this. That I'm on the council, but I do not get the rank of season mod. So, um, yeah, this is a lot of news to me that I'm like, super excited to get a chance to give my input on as like not necessarily on the creation side of things, but as a player side of things. Um,
Mhm.
so,
Yeah. And to take a look at some more of the really cool functionality, if you go back to player template,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
I know you were
one
talking
of
about
the
this, and I kind of
things
sidetracked it.
if you go to the left, actually, and scroll down a little, one of the things that's always annoyed me about draft documents is there's the season doc where
Hmm.
everybody has all their teams and shit, and then everybody has their own personal document that they use for their actual team building, where they insert their opponent, they insert the matchup, and then they build off of that.
Yep.
And I've always been like, why don't we just have that in the doc?
Yep. Yep.
So so for starters, it is in the doc. There is your type matchup chart with your speed comparison. It is sorted. And here's where we get into fancy technicalities. You notice how opponent 5 is currently highlighted?
Yep. Can I? Does this work?
For
Okay.
for for anyone who was paying close attention, when this document went live, opponent 1 was highlighted. And it showed opponent 1's team.
Yep.
On the second day this was live, opponent 2 was highlighted and it showed opponent's 2 team. And
Oh, you've been having it cycle as like a little Easter egg.
it was a little Easter egg for anybody who is paying close attention.
That's sick.
And that is not a feature that requires us to update it. That isn't a Sunday thing where you're hoping that the mods are on top of it. We have or we will be setting the play periods for each week as a background thing, and every time we enter a new play period, it will automatically update your opponent. It will automatically show their team and your matchup and their stats.
Yeah, that's super cool. I'm not a huge expert on the Sheets integration. I know a little bit, but I definitely a lot of work has gone into the document itself. Which, for anyone else who has worked on these type of documents, they probably have an even greater appreciation for that than I do. Because I know in some of our previous seasons, getting the document done on time has been a struggle to say the least. So
Have we ever actually gotten the document done on time?
no, I mean I wasn't gonna
I
say
don't
that, but you know.
I don't think we've actually had a singular instance before now. Um, and that's kind of the final thing on the player template is in the bottom right, we do have the coach info. I will say for this season, the coach info is not going to be particularly relevant because this is a brand new format, and the intention is that the slates are wiped clean. This is a brand new situation, so we're going to use new data. Everybody's stats will be reset. More importantly, we've never tracked everybody's stats before, so we don't have the data. And the idea is not only are we going to track all this cool info for Pokemon, we're also going to track all of this cool info for coaches so that every season you get to see how your coach information evolves as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know that there's technically a lot of data that some of our older guard players have on like, oh, I've played this person 6 times and I've won 5 out of 6 of them. You know, but that data is all over the place. It's like it's different people have different levels of collection of it. Some people like are exaggerating their win rates, and you know, so kind of having a fresh slate is a really good way to say like, hey, I know you have history, but this is a different type of format you've never played before, so we're using different data.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting elements is like even our strongest players, there are our strongest players in a pre-existing formats, and will those skills fully translate? I mean, probably, but will it be as equal as we expect?
Now, and like I will say, like even myself, I've played in the NBA has had an off season or two. I played in their Ledian Cup, which was basically only like the shitter tier mons. And I went 0-5 in that season. I lost every single
Let's
game in that season. Um,
let's
so I
go.
can definitely attest to different players in different formats does not mean the same level of strength or familiarity. So,
Oh, also, I guess just side note, if anybody noticed, I don't know if this was super obvious. The player template is designed to look like the old leaf green trainer cards,
ooh, okay.
where like the schedule and opponent, each one of those is where the badges were, and then
Oh, you can like get a little badge for each one of your opponents you beat.
yeah, I wanted to do that. It's way more of a pain. I still probably will, but it is actually way more of a pain in
I
the
mean,
ass than you would
I can
expect.
harass people to say, hey, what would you want your little badge to be? You know, and then
Um,
if we could collect like emotes from everyone as a little badge, that'd be really cool.
but yeah, so other than the type chart matchup, this is actually only
Oh, did you cut out? Did my Discord die?
The things are different where instead of wins, it's like badges. Instead of losses, it's like money. But it's
Oh no, I lost 10k Poké Dollars because I lost. Shit.
dude, could you imagine if on the player pages
Okay, wait. Your audio just cut out really bad on my end. I think
somebody
chat also
meant
noticed.
well chat said rip stream, so I'm assuming that was on your end.
Okay, chat. If you can't hear me, let me know. But I just lost connection to Aiden. His Discord was super robotic-y.
Oh, was it me? Okay, rest in pieces.
Okay. I think it's fixed now. It might have just been like you said earlier. The reason that our custom server has been down is because someone at your residence has been messing with the Wi-Fi. So it could have just been something related to that.
Yeah, that's hopefully I think that should be dealt with, but my dad kept fucking with the router. He was trying to implement a new router
Oh seven
like
router.
block it. No, it was he wanted to get fancy with like blocking ads at the router access level and
Oh,
a
okay.
bunch of shit like that. But he
No, I
is
know our
bumbling
router.
his way through it.
Soup can also attest to this. We've been trying to host Minecraft servers lately, and it's been a nightmare to manage on the router end. So if it's
Yeah.
anything remotely related to that, I feel you.
Also, I this is a completely unrelated comment. One block of Garbodor's type matchup is a different color with no number in it, and it's really bothering me. I don't know why that is.
Oh, we got a
I
meeting.
don't have the page open, so I can't actually like check why it's like
Good old
that.
technical difficulties. Let's go.
I'm just like, what the fuck? Why does Garbodor not have a thing? Um,
But yeah, no, I the player template, all the little things in here, it's like there's a lot going on, but once you look at it, it's like, yo, this is so cool. This is so useful, you know?
yeah, and that's I will say in terms of like overall hopes, this is a format where I think the more effort people put into it, the more the format will give. The more everybody will enjoy it, the more we all try.
Well, and
The
that's
more
exactly how Magic Cubes work, also, right? The more that
yeah.
people give their input on cubes and show off what they drafted and talk about like what interactions happened in games that they did or did not like, right? That's how you make a cube grow and be so successful, and it's how like a lot of the historic, really popular cubes in Magic have grown over the years. Is
Mhm.
like most vintage cubes that are widely played by like players both professional and new, like have had this level of trial by fire, this level of everyone has given their opinions and thoughts and tried different things. So we're super excited to get this format out in the air. If you know people that are interested in joining or trying out this format, please send them our way. We can make sure they're a good fit for the server and get you guys all cubed up. So
Yeah. And that's I also think effort is going to be a really big help in towards personal enjoyment too, where just like I spent probably somewhere between 60 to 80 hours agonizing over the list of what mons to include, and how to balance things as best as possible. And so there are some mons that do have answers in the cube, but those answers are not immediately obvious. And I do feel like if people are, only doing 10-minute building, then there's gonna be weeks where something feels too oppressive because it's like, what is the checks to this? What are the counters? And if they fully analyze things, they probably would find them. But in a 10-minute build, a lot of them aren't gonna be super obvious.
yeah, I do think this is a format made for people who love to take their time over building, over analyzing, going through all the options. Um, And that's a large part of what our community is at the end of the day. We have a lot of people who are addicted to sitting in Builder. Myself, I think being like one of the prime examples of that. I spend way too long in Builder when I'm prepping for a matchup, and I'm super excited for this format personally.
Yeah. And that's fucking I spend so much time in Builder, dude. So much time.
Oh, I know. I've seen some of the stuff you bring to games. I'm like, you spent an hour making this and didn't realize X, Y, Z, or like we're planning for the specific
Well,
interaction. It's and I don't know if it's gonna go your way or not. You know, like
even what will always end up happening in team chats is like in the middle of the night, everybody else is asleep, and I'll send a message at 2 a.m. going, "Hey, I'm gonna look at this matchup right now," and I will still be sending messages at 9 a.m.
oh, that's
where I'm just like analyzing a bunch of different aspects. And it's not like I'm sending a message a minute or anything, but it's like every 20 to 40 minutes I'll send a message. And then
yeah,
I'll like go fuck off and scroll Facebook or something. And then I come back to it and I go, well, what about this?
yeah, exactly. No, I'm notorious for that as well. So I feel you. I feel you.
Um,
I think your degen schedule might be even more degen than mine, which is somehow saying something because if there's one thing
yeah.
chat knows here, it's that my schedule is abysmal. It's as
Uh,
they frequently mock me about not being live. Let me pull up the yeah, last online 8 days ago. you know,
yeah, I did like the self dig in there. Also, I wanted to say fun fact about the cube because Soup has mentioned it a few times, or no, Royce Snover has mentioned it a few times. Um, Archeops was the very first Pokemon in the cube. They were, in fact, the reason I wanted to build the cube. Archeops was a mon that I really like, and I think it's really fun. And I said I want to see a format where Archeops can actually like
do
play
something.
and thrive, and,
Yeah,
and this can be a top mon type thing.
I have
And
seen Archeops actually put in work in like regular formats, just because of its speed tier and like out of the gate offenses.
yeah,
But
every now and then it can.
in a format where like everything is that power level, I feel like it's like low key the Thanos of the format. If you're not careful.
Archeops, and that was one of the earlier questions was like, why does Archeops not get boots? Archeops is one of the scariest things in this format, like 100%.
Yeah,
It's it, as a Pokemon, and especially in this power level of cube, it is absurdly difficult to answer defensively. Not only because it has extremely high base power moves in like the physical rock types, the head smashes, the whatever, but also because it's mixed. It has meteor beam sets, it has good coverage for steel types, it has good coverage for the grass types that would resist its normal things, or the fighting types that would resist its rock type moves. Um, this is one of those Pokemon where everything that should be an obvious answer to it, it can run a counter set to almost everything. And one of the defining factors that actually makes it okay to include, despite being so absurdly difficult to answer,
is no
is the
rocks.
fact
There is no boost
is the
rather.
fact that rocks and aqua jet is specifically, I imagine, going to be a consistent one. um like it now does have to play through these things where it can't run boots, and there is a chance that you don't run any removers in your draft because there's not a lot of removers available.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, very interesting. Very interesting to see that. I think we kind of covered everything in terms of the what's what on the document here. Um, was there anything that we wanted to go over? I did want to mention briefly. This is the custom server that we've made, the OTLshowdown.com.
Mhm.
And if you go to the home menu, um, does it, why?
You can log in. It's universal along all
Oh,
Showdown
I have
servers.
to type it in though, and it doesn't have it saved
Oh,
because it's
you
a new
fool.
website. So I'll worry about that later. Um, but yeah, so in the team builder, Um, we only have one format available, which is Cube Nat Decks. Um, we tested this
You
earlier. It
can still
does.
play Randbats though.
Oh, you can still play Rainbats. Oh shit.
You
Okay.
can.
Um, if you add a Pokemon that's not actually in the cube, just because it defaults to showing all of them, and you hit validate, it's gonna tell you Alomomola is not in the cube. Oh no. So,
Or additionally, if you re-add that Archeops real quick,
and give it Stealth Rock.
why don't you give it a pair of boots or a Stealth Rock?
Oh no! Oh, I'm building with my brain turned off. Oh, well, my team's ready to go. Only Cradily, Stunfisk, Mawile, and Piloswine can use Stealth Rock. It did not mention the boots though.
If you remove the Stealth Rock, it will only ever show one illegal thing at a time,
Only
effectively.
Centiskorch can use heavy duty boots. There we go. Okay, yeah, that's sick. There we go. So, yeah, and I don't know what exactly is the long-term plans with this OTL server, but it's probably going to be used for hosting other cubes as well. Because
hmm
I imagine fairly easy to just add an additional cube format here. So
Yes, if you have the rules, I mean, it takes an hour or two of like some tedious shit, but it
of
is
checking the
easy to
boxes
add
or clicking the code or
additional.
whatever.
There's no boxes. You actually every single one of those validation checks I had to put in individually,
Oh
and let me tell
no.
you, hidden power is a nightmare. You can't just say, does it have hidden power? All of the hidden powers are individual moves.
They're all
So
different moves.
I had to put in 19 individual hidden power checks, and I had to put in 18 Z crystal checks. And
Wait, why is it 19 in power checks?
because hidden power without a type is a move.
There's a
Like, because
typeless hidden power
if you just put in hidden power, um,
like this one.
yeah, and then you go into game with it, it will determine the type based on your IVs.
There is a
Uh,
normal type hidden power. Okay.
yeah, it's two different moves.
That's messed up.
Fun
That's
fact.
evil.
It
All
is
my
evil.
homies hate hidden power.
But yeah, so not only are all of the special cube restrictions included, but all of the normal nat dex restrictions have been added. So the like evasion clauses, the oh hit or one hit KO moves,
Yep.
all of those, and the hidden powers, the like regular cube stuff, all of the rules should be built in. So I know with the cube and the restrictions, there are a lot of things to remember, but it should be impossible to bring an illegal set even by accident.
Royce, I should ban you for that comment. That's villainous. My other favorite bald streamer is
Evil.
on. Damn. Colon 3. Guys, can we get a colon 3? Um,
Colon 3 for the homies.
but yeah, this works. Don't try to validate the wrong things; it will yell at you. And even though it looks like all these Pokemon are legal, it will tell you they're not. So,
Yeah, fun fact, if you've never worked with a Showdown custom server, that list where you put like clicked on the Pokemon and everything showed up, uh let me tell you, it's fucking impossible to mess with this at all. You cannot fucking the only thing you can do is determine what gen shows up. And let me
oh
tell you,
no,
if
that's
you
evil.
say only Gen 6 shows up and you put in a Gen 8 Mon, it doesn't matter if you've said in this format that Mon is legal, it won't pass the validator check.
Oh my god. Okay.
I'm I was so fucking furious about this, and I spent so much fucking time trying to solve this. I cannot express. Also, fun fact, something that determines what format you're in is there's a variable called what format base are you in, where
Mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm.
just say, okay, the base is Gen 9, and then you know how it actually determines it? You need to include in the name string of your fucking format, you need to include in brackets Nat Dex Draft Gen 9.
Oh, it
And if
reached the
you
string.
don't do that, it defaults to fucking Gen 5. I don't know why. It just does that.
That's crazy. That's crazy lore.
It's fucking, I hate it so much.
With that said, though, if there's any more questions from chat, we're more than happy to answer them. I'm trying to think, is there anything else we haven't really covered? I know, we should go over the rules real quick. There's
The
trading, there's drafting, those are all pretty normal. Oh,
uh
any
the
battle rules
the
we're missing?
the one rule that will probably like the only one that isn't effectively an expected rule is in terms of trading. uh there is a restriction that we've never had before, which is if you drop a Pokemon, if it has been on your roster and for any reason it is no longer on your roster, you cannot get it again.
I think that's actually a pretty common rule. I just don't think it's always in writing. Um,
Well, in this case, it is actually a document restriction where
it's a document restriction. That's awesome.
where if we put the Pokemon on your team again, it won't show up.
You know,
So if
you
you
could just
drop it,
say that it's for like you don't even have to say it's for logistical reasons. You can just say it's for yeah, you've given up that Pokemon. You can't have it back. You know, you
yeah,
can't take back your son that you left at the side of the road.
yeah,
You could have just
those
said
are
that,
all
but
the reasons.
the fact that it's a logistics problem, I feel like is way funnier. Um,
Yeah, those all were all the reasons I was okay saying I'm not gonna bother fixing this problem, but
nah,
the reason
just
I
say
initially put it
it was
in.
always a you know, philosophy reasoning and nothing else. You know, don't even mention the rest.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Um, and then the only other thing we were going to talk about was me talking about the design philosophy into the Pokemon that went into the cube, as well as complaining about Game Freak,
oh, okay, yeah. I wanted to make sure,
specifically fighting types.
I wanted to make sure we covered all of our bases before getting into that type of nitty gritty discussion because, like, you know us, we could talk about that for like 3 hours straight and get
Mhm.
nowhere. Here comes the Mew rant again. Oh.
No,
um,
this is the fighting type rant. This is the never heard before. Fighting types are so poorly designed, and I hate them.
um, yeah. If you want to go off, go for it. Let me just pull up what fighting types are in the cube even. There's no. Is there any mono fighting type in here?
There is a mono fighting type, and it is Primeape.
Oh, that's right. Yes, Primeape, no Eviolite legal.
No Eviolite does have Rage Fist.
Yes, I said mono fighting type. Those are both dual typed fighting types.
Well, before you said mono, you did just say what are the fighting types.
Fair, fair, fair. Dude, I think I've always thought that Primeape didn't even need a Violite when people ran it with Rage Fist. And so I think this mod's going to be really good in the format. Also, notably,
Yeah, it's gonna be sick.
Stealth Rocks is banned on it, I believe, because it does have access to Stealth Rocks normally.
Indeed. You know what? You didn't even actually need to check the doc. You could have checked the validator.
True, true. So true. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but yeah, it's got good coverage. It's got good choice item
Yeah,
sets. It's got good speed tier. Its attack stat is honestly, it's a Gen 1 attack stat, so I don't think it's that
yeah.
crazy, but it's not particularly high in comparison to things like Machamp or like other staple fighting types.
Yeah. Okay, so before I get into the fighting type rant, here is the overarching design philosophy. The idea was that we wanted two things. One was kind of specific to speed, where speed design was very interesting. However many players we had in the cube, in this case we have 6 players per cube, the fastest Pokemon in the format, there must be at least 6 Pokemon that force that Pokemon to run a plus speed nature. And the reason for that is effectively from a design philosophy, I do not believe that any Pokemon should have the benefit of getting a boost in power without sacrificing the threat of speed. It cannot be faster than everything and then also get to boost its power.
Which is a
Um,
notable big problem in higher power level formats when you have things like Zero Aura and Iron Bundle and Dragapult legal, because those ones very frequently get to run Modest or Adamant and still be faster than everything on an opponent's team. So
mhm.
I very much agree with that philosophy.
So in the case of this cube, the fastest Pokemon in this cube is Rabombi, and you require exactly 109 or more base speed in order to force Rabombi to run timid to guarantee it's faster. There will still be matchups where you don't care to be faster, so it can run modest, or maybe they'll run modest anyways. But that is now strategy at play. It's not just a pure design philosophy of speed.
Well, with
And
that
I
in mind,
believe,
though, right, you can still
yeah.
have a Rabambi on your roster, and a player decided they didn't actually want a 109 speed mon. They only have a 105, right? So there is still situations where Rabambi could run modest, but it's because your opponent
Mhm.
made a willing decision to not have a Pokemon that could stop it.
Yeah, and that was very much the reason the number is six specifically is because if you take Rabombi and a 109 speed, there needs to be at least one other for each other player that they could take in order to match it. Now, I think there's actually more than six. I think there is 10 Pokemon that are 109 or above. Um, but that was the avenue we looked at. For example, at one point we were looking at Ninjask because that would actually be a really cool Pokemon to include in Cube. However, it is
It is
frankly just
so fast.
impossible.
It's so fast.
It Yeah, there are not nearly enough Pokemon that are in that speed tier that we could dream of including in this cube because of power level reasons. So it just got excluded. So that was one design philosophy is you cannot be the fastest and get a power boost. Another one was that we wanted um, role distribution. Uh, Fun fact about Pokemon, role distribution is almost entirely based on typing. If you have a cleric type Pokemon, there is a 95% chance it is a normal type, a grass type, or a fairy type, and that is it. Um, and so we wanted to look hard and say, okay, for fire types, we want to have at least one special breaker or one strong special attacker. We want to have at least one physical fire type. We want to
Mhm.
have at least one bulky fire type. We want to have at least one utility fire type. Um, and so the idea was that we hit kind of every combination of types that we were able to. We hit every combination of roles and like stat distributions. Um, Unfortunately, Game Freak does not want to fucking work with me on that. The, there are over 1,000 Pokemon in this game, and let me ask you a question. How many fighting types do you think are exclusively special attackers in the game?
Exclusively special attackers.
Yeah.
Uh,
For example, like Lucario is a special attacker, but it
but
can
it's also
also
a
be
mixed attacker, so it doesn't really fit that
yeah.
specific role. I'm gonna say there's one.
You are dead on. There's in fact exactly one, and it's Keldeo.
Yeah,
And so
it's only Keldeo. Oh shit.
yeah, I looked at every fighting type in the game. I sorted by special attack, and I went, okay, which ones are only special attackers? Oh, there is
There's Keldeo.
only Keldeo, and it is far too powerful for this cube. So, in terms of fighting types, I am already I simply cannot have this role distribution that I want. There is only Keldeo, and I can't include it, so we don't have any Pokemon or any fighting types that are only special attackers. Also, fun fact about fighting types, their speed distribution is dog shit. If we look at fast fighting types, as in things above, like, let's even be generous and just say 100, fighting types over 100 speed are almost exclusively
105 or 108.
ridiculously fucking strong.
Yep.
There's somewhere around like I want to say 8 Pokemon above 100 speed that we could even consider.
Yep.
Um,
So every fighting
I,
type that fits the constraints of our format is either like a slow or mid-speed wall breaker or too powerful.
and so we had to give a little bit. For example, like Palmot, I think might actually be too strong for the format, but God, did we desperately need a fast fighting type?
I mean, I think it has
And
pretty bad matchups into a lot of the other fast mons. Like, it's pretty bad into Archeops. It's pretty bad into Rabombi. And like, it's got pretty stiff competition in its speed tier because 105 means it's outsped by a lot of things. So even if it
yeah,
might be a bit too strong, I think there's lots of things around that exist to check it. So,
yeah, and that's part of why we're hoping it's fine, but it was a concerning thing of like it just has really good coverage. It has Iron Fist to boost all of its elemental punches. It's a really good pivot. It's good utility. It's a great offensive typing. And it's like this is just kind of scary to include, but we're gonna do it. Um,
um, quick rule check.
mhm.
Is Revival Blessing on the
Revival
ban
Blessing
list?
is banned. I don't remember if we remembered to put it in there.
Okay, that I don't think I see it. Let me do it real quick.
Blame Azzy. He did the full rules. Bastard forgot it. Although, actually, I will say in his defense, I also don't think that's in the validator yet because that was a late addition to the cube and the rules.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm always blaming Lucas. That's just how it be around here. Um. Okay, yeah. So yeah, there is still a bit of work to be done before we officially launch this season. Um. So if anyone from our lovely community sees an issue, sees something they think is missing and really shouldn't be, please, please, please reach out. You know us. As much as we're
Mhm.
Johners, we get on this stuff as soon as we need to.
Yeah,
Um,
or at least I do.
I mean, okay, I'm not gonna open slander. I'll save that for later.
But yeah, so okay. So fighting types, if you want to have this distribution, fucking nightmare. You know what else is a nightmare? Rock types.
Hell yeah.
Holy shit. Do you know how fucking miserable it is to find a rock type that isn't broken but is like has an okay speed? I don't even need it to be super fast. I just need it to be like in the 90-ish speed range. Fucking rock types are a nightmare, but they also fall under the same problem as fighting types. It's not quite as bad, but there's only like 6 special rock type attackers in the or exclusively special rock type attackers in the game, and unfortunately, Glomora is way too fucking strong.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
Nihilego might actually be cool, but we figured that Beast Boost might be too concerning with the speed tier, and so we didn't end up doing Nihilego. Um,
Now, I will say, so this is something that I've always had a little bit of an eye on, but never followed close enough to really know everything going on. The
mhm,
Create a Pokemon metagame, CAP, does actually solve some of these problems that you're mentioning. There are
sure.
a couple of special fighting types. There are also some other really interesting niche Pokemon that aren't necessarily broken, or maybe they are broken, but would fit perfectly for the type of restrictions we have in the cube. I'm not advocating for us to do that necessarily, but it is really interesting to see that some parallels in the create a Pokemon community and what we're trying to do with the cube community, or what we're trying to do with our own format here.
Yeah, at the very least, somebody else has seen that these things don't exist and tried to create them.
Um, yeah, so yeah, no, absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. The whole special attacking rock types, special attacking fighting types. Like, because Pokemon has tried to really lean into those um, lore reasonings for Pokemon doing what they do. It doesn't necessarily align itself well with a well balanced competitive format or a well
Mhm,
balanced draftable format. So it's like another Magic comparison. For the longest time, in older Magic sets, green did not have access to removal, and in order for a good limited format to exist, you need to have some way of other colors being able to have a quote unquote removal spell. And so in modern draft formats, green has a lot of bite or fight effects, which it's kind of like fixing the problem that is created by not having a special fighting type. Um,
mhm.
and I could go on about draft all day, both in Pokemon or paper Magic drafting.
Yeah. And that is Game Freak has started to address some of the niches that they were missing out on, like special type fighting types, or like there's a couple of types that don't historically get to use support moves, but they are going to give it support moves, like fighting types like Pama. But the problem is the few times where they are addressing this, they're typically attaching it to a Pokemon that is are too powerful for us to be able to include it in this format.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
like, there's the occasional one-off that could have fit, but because of the power level, still can't use it.
Yeah, exactly. Also, big thanks to Mazda for the follow. Thank you, thank you. Um, if anyone is just joining chat now, we're talking about the OTL cube format. We're just kind of wrapping up our little overview of everything on the dock and regarding how the signups work. And we're about to get into our very long-winded rants about why certain Pokemon exist or don't exist. And we were just talking about why are there no, middle power level special attacking fighting types? Which honestly a great tragedy. And I've always thought part of what made Lucario so cool back in the day wasn't just the fact that it looks like an Egyptian whatever the heck it is. It was the fact that it got Aura Sphere. No removal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have very specific rules on how removal and hazards work. It's a very curated experience here. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
Anubis, the Anubis dog, right? Like part of what made Lucario so cool was that it got Aura Sphere. It was the first special attacking fighting type. And they still have not really followed up on that.
Hmm. But also, actually, removal is another example of the distribution that I really tried to keep in mind. Was half of the removers are defoggers and half of the removers are rapid spinners, so that it's and specifically there is no type that is represented more than twice. So like there are two flying type removers with Tropius and Altaria. There are two grass types, but overall there is a strong variation in the types. We have some Pokemon that resist rock that have removal. We have some Pokemon that are weak to it. We have the variations. And so the idea was we wanted to be like, if you are really heavily prioritizing removal and you get to pick first with the Claydol, and so now you get a remover who's reliable and who resists rock, and you're in a pretty good spot. But if you really push removal to the back end and a lot of things have been taken, now you're kind of probably stuck with a remover who's weak to rocks or who is a war turtle.
Yeah, exactly. And even Claydol, right, is a rock remover that is resistant to rock. But it gets completely owned by Golisopod or by Cafagrigus. So it's not, the be all end all to winning the Hazard War.
Mhm. Yeah, Whimsicott we think is gonna be pretty sick. It's a good. It's one of the few like fast utility mons, and it's a really unique type combination that I think is relevant against a reasonable number of Pokemon in the cube. Um, I think it'll be really cool to play with.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and then also, for those who are new here, Toxic, Scald, Boots, and Violite are also very restricted. Toxic and Scald, I think, being two of the most hated moves in all of competitive Pokemon, especially singles. Maybe not so much in doubles, but
Yeah,
um,
nobody gives a shit about them in doubles.
I don't know. I've definitely seen people mauled about like flinching and 30% chance rates in Scald in doubles as well. But like back in the Gen 5, Gen 6 days of Scald spam, Thunderwave is here to stay, baby.
Well,
Uh,
actually, I'll let you finish your story. Sorry.
no, I was saying like Gen 5, Gen 6, and everything forward. Scald and Toxic have been complained about. Mostly Scald, actually. Toxic, I don't think has been complained about, but in recent gens, it's been really apparent what happens when you limit access to it, as opposed to have unlimited access to it. Um,
Yeah,
so
that's I know when Gen 9 first announced that Toxic was being like kind of removed. Most people were very negative about that, and I was like, "Let's fucking
let's
go!"
go.
Um, and then I think a lot more people are kind of on my side now, but there are still players like Azzy who want to slap Toxic on everything, and they are upset that it isn't there.
That's called a crutch.
Um,
That's called a crutch for anyone who's wondering.
it's called the crutch. But also, so Thunderwave is here to stay. That's actually a really good example of something that we were considering of like, okay, if Toxic is gone, is Thunderwave just going to be the default replacement move? And it might be. We genuinely we're not quite sure if it's going to reach the same level because it does solve a lot of problems and it is like it is still a crippling effect, but it doesn't solve every problem. Um, and that's one of the things this season that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on is like, is yellow magic going to be a really big deal in this format?
Oh, yellow
Should
magic. Oh my
should
god.
Thunderwave also be included in these restrictions?
Or like I was
Or
also because Scald is so limited, I was also wondering what the philosophy on like Will-O-Wisp was in a similar vein. But like
well,
granted,
so
that does mean that fire types and ghost types have a very specific niche that they can use, but it's also like, is it really fair that Delphox can just burn the physical attacker and now it's a special tank that also is beating the physical attackers, you know? Um, lots of interesting conversations to be kind of crafted that way.
yeah, I think the one advantage in terms of like power balance for Will-O-Wisp or Thunderwave compared to like a Scald is that Scald is also a damage threat.
Hmm.
Where like, if you choose Scald over Surf, you're not giving up a relevant amount of damage. So you are being offensively pressuring while also potentially neutering something.
Yeah, because if you do
And the
30%, but are also gambling on getting a Scald versus if you uh, click Will-O-Wisp and only get a burn, like the damage difference is huge and means that like if it's a defensive mon, it might not have to recover right away.
Well, and not only is the damage difference huge, but also the move slot syndrome is huge.
Hmm.
Where if you click Will-O-Wisp, or if you bring Will-O-Wisp, that isn't your fire type attack. That means you're dedicating two move slots in order to be able to neuter. And so I do think that is an interesting element of strategy that is worth including.
Hmm.
It's specifically the element of if I'm a Specs Scald user, I am dealing a fuck ton of damage that you have to answer defensively while you also have to play around the fact that
You
I
might
could be
just not
neutering
be
you at
able
the
to do
same
your thing
time.
anymore if you get burnt on the switch in. Like if you switch in your physical attacking grass type and it gets Scald burned, it's just no longer able to actually check the water type it should.
But to reiterate my point from earlier, it is something that we want to keep an eye on, and we do also want people to pay attention to it. Are the status moves that remain too oppressive? Are they too universal? Should we also consider restricting them? Um, Also keeping in mind what Pokemon desperately want toxic or need toxic, because like I mentioned earlier, it was one of the hardest things for us to find a Pokemon that like could use it and that we were wanted to see be able to use it.
Well, I
Um,
think like my initial knee-jerk reaction to the very limited toxic distribution is there's a couple Pokemon that are literally like dead weight without it. Which I would argue is Mawile and Sableye. Um, because their stats are terrible. Um, Mawile only has 85 attack, which notably can be fixed a little bit by sheer force, but like
mhm,
it's got abysmal stats. It doesn't even have the ability to run a Violite. And like this thing is basically just going to be a suicide stealth rock lead. I feel like 90% of the time, and like if you are like up against something that isn't weak to Iron Head, to sheer force Iron Head, it's gonna have a hard time. I feel.
mhm.
Maybe I'm missing something. I do think I am someone who is a huge fan of sheer force, so maybe it is a lot stronger offensively than I'm giving it credit for, and just not able to check um the calcs right now. But that's kind of like my knee jerk reaction is what is Mawile doing without access to toxic? What is Sableye? Like I know Sableye has some other utility moves like Will-O-Wisp, but like it just gets really shut down by a lot of things without toxic. Um,
I mean, it still has like Nightshade and shit.
I guess Nightshade like is fine.
And also in this kind of format with overall lower stats, we could even see like Calm Mind Sableye potentially being a relevant setup threat.
I mean, I'll believe that when I see it, but I don't doubt that someone will
I,
try
I'm
that.
not I'm not a big believer even in like Mega Sableye Calm Mind, but I do think it's like a possibility.
It does get nasty plot notably. Does it get like Draining Kiss? I don't think it does. No. But yeah,
No,
like those are
just
the
kick
two
it.
like ones that when I saw the toxic ban was kind of like, yeah, I'm never touching either of these mons with a 50-foot pole because I don't think they do anything without access to some sort of DOT utility. Um, a lot of the other ones
Yeah.
seem pretty fine. I don't think they're too bad. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah. Also,
I
hello,
do
Drix.
with the Mawile, I will say in playtesting, Mawile did not feel like dead weight. It wasn't overwhelming and it wasn't crazy high value, but it did want to come to almost every game, both because of its niche in being a setter and it is a very strong typing. And so,
Well, I mean,
um,
actually, now that I think about it, if I look at the comparison between it and Tinkaton, Mawala has more attack stat. Which is and like I have talked shit about Tinkaton and lost to it in the past. So I could just be like missing out on the fact that Fairy Steel is just that good of a utility typing, and
I mean,
it doesn't need more attack than it already has to actually be a threat with sheer force.
Tinkaton does have the advantage of having about double the speed. So,
Yeah,
I
it,
will
it gets
say,
away with like it also has like Encore and a bunch of other very obnoxious moves that I don't think Mawile gets access to. But like Pain Split is good. Taunt is not nearly as good as it is on Tinkaton because Tinkaton has the speed to back it up. But like yeah, I feel like Life Orb Sheer Force is probably surprisingly good on this.
also relevant on Mawile is it does get Baton Pass, I want to say, based on the clicking I just saw. So it is also a defensive pivot. You just
Yeah,
scrolled right
notably
by.
no stat passing, but yes. Um I believe stat passing is it should be on the if it's not on here, I'm going to yell at you guys.
The dry passing is on there. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, good. That I was gonna crash out if dry passing was not on here. Um
We didn't you we just search up Baton Pass, dickhead.
why is this not okay, whatever. I'm assuming it's on here. The control F is not working. Dry passing
It's
save
number
modern draft. I'm gonna be
It,
real. I don't think it's that necessary. I think it's kind of overrated, but
uh,
I love Dry Pass. So Baton Pass cannot be
uh,
used to pass a stat or substitute Pokemon. There you go. It's because of the formatting. I didn't see it.
mhm. Um, I mean, I do think access to Baton Pass, just like giving a pivot move to a lot of Pokemon that don't otherwise have a pivot move, it is a reasonably big deal. Like even Alomomola, it became. I mean, it
It
got flip
also
turn at
got
the
flip
same.
turn. Yeah, so it kind
It
of.
got flip turn at the same time, but if it didn't get flip turn, but got the baton pass, it would still have a lot of the same kind of relevance.
Sorry, we got on a tangent. There's a question from chat. The OTL, we are a primarily singles, 6v6 singles draft league format. Um, League. If you have no idea what a Pokemon Draft League is, I highly recommend trying one out. We're talking about a very interesting variant of a normal draft league, which is a cube format. And for anyone who has any background in Magic, you might know what the term cube means as like a draftable format. Basically, long story short, we have a very limited legal list of what Pokemon you can and can't use. And so, as opposed to having all 1,000 Pokemon be legal, we have I think 60. Is it 60 or is it 84 or
It is 84.
84 exactly? There is more room for players. If you have a question, reach out to El New Name, or we can also message you on Discord about it. We're still looking for more signups. We said roughly 2 full cubes ready, and we're hoping to get 4. Um,
Yeah, I can actually check to see if our numbers are up to date.
But this is definitely a lot different than a typical draft league. So if you have not played in a more traditional Pokemon draft league, I do recommend doing that. Not necessarily before this format, but in addition to this format, um, because it's a very unique experience. It's like playing it's simultaneously like playing in a fantasy football or fantasy sports league where you have your players and you hope they do well every team, but it's also like playing Pokemon Showdown or a competitive OU format at the same time. It's a combination of both. There's a lot of skills it tests. Um, oh, you're in the NHL.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. If you're in the NHL and you're actually probably good friends with some of our lovely community members. Big shout outs to Stormtide and Atlas and everyone in the NHL who has been running an absolutely wonderful format over there. We're kind of a younger sibling league to them, so um, and yeah, if you are in our community, you can always ask us for help with other draft leagues as well. We're always, as long as we're not your opponent, we're always happy to give advice on matchups because we do way too much of this, to say the least. You guys have spiritually been around since like Gen 7. Are you talking about like OG Gen 7? Don't listen to him, he's part of EA. I see, I see. Oh, we're getting the slander out here.
don't trust the bourgeoisie. Come to the drillbers. We're
Speaking
trustworthy.
speaking of the EA, where did I put
Also, OTL, for the record, short for 1 trillion lions versus the sun. It's so many lions, dude.
here we go. We got our season winning emote here. For anyone who was here to watch the finals of the NHL season 6. Um big shout outs to Royce Nover for clutching up that finals for us. Um, but I gotta add that as a yo Royce. If you hear this, I need you to send me the OG files for that emote so I can add it as a Twitch emote. Hacks be upon ye.
That's
Um,
I think that previous draft league started in it was either Gen 5 or 6 because I remember I joined in Gen 8, but I like back read to the old archived conversations, and I remember reading the debates about the Tapus coming out, like when they first got revealed, and
mhm.
people talking about how dog shit they were gonna be.
Really?
I mean, I think
I thought that might have been okay. Long story short, the OTL is kind of a evolution of an older league that I've been playing in since the very start of Generation 8, I think. I joined, I think, at the end of Generation 7. So, oh, I gotta go actually refill
but
my
yeah.
water. Um, I'm gonna
All
quick
right.
run and
Have
refill my
fun.
water. My voice is getting a little bit hoarse. If you want to go on a tangent where I can't hear it, go for it. I'm gonna be right back.
Yeah, you do that. I'm gonna say so many bad things against Twitch TOS. Enjoy your water. I hope it's worth it. Uh, how you guys doing, huh? How do you enjoy listening to my shitty, shitty voice? I always hate like after every time I go on a stream, I go back and I listen to my voice and I'm like, why did I do this to myself? Yes, it is Kilehka. Kilehka. It's always a it's always a great time to come here and do my little humiliation ritual. Pisses me off because like I know I was talking to Jorson about this a little bit before we started stream, but I know that I have like a little bit of a lisp, but when I speak, I don't typically hear it, and it's only like if I've been talking a lot like I have been today, which is what I was complaining about earlier, that it becomes a little bit stronger and I can hear it, but normally I don't hear it, and then I go back and I listen to the stream and I'm like, god fucking damn it, all I can hear is this terrible shitty voice and lisp. Why is it like this? Why must I suffer?
Or do you want a whole rant about um yeah, not understanding how your voice sounds sometimes?
Yeah, it sucks. Fucking why is voice different? Why can't I sound to me like I sound like to others? Actually, no, I want it to be the reverse. Why can't I sound like to others what I sound like to me?
Also, thank you for the follow. Thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
let me. Sorry, I saw in chat someone say, "Who is this guest?" By the way, and I really didn't have this little bit of text up. Uh, there we go. Featuring Kilehka. You did me too. Okay, I'll take a look at that in
Uh
a second.
how do you say it? I've always read it differently. It's pronounced Kilehka.
Kilehka. Sorry, I'm terrible. I can't even pronounce my own name right half the time. Like, um,
Oh, so also actually Drix put it as Kilekha, which is probably why part of why they read it differently. It is Kileka. It roughly translates to me, not you.
okay. I'm back. No, if you're going on the rant about like perception of your own voice and stuff like that, something that I've been really working through in my personal life, is getting over that hesitation or self doubt towards like, oh, I have a whiny voice. No one wants to listen to me. Like, oh, no one likes the way my voice sounds. So why would I get into content creation? And I think that's something that everyone has. Everyone thinks that at some point in their life, and if someone doesn't think that, they probably have like one of those personalities that is a little bit too self confident, if you know what I mean. And
Mhm.
part of growing up and getting to where you want to be in life is overcoming that fear. And it's not easy. It's not something that you just wake up one day and do. It's something you have to encourage yourself and you know work through it and practice to do. So
Yeah. In my case, it's one of those things where like I struggled for a while based on my voice, how I hear it, not how other people hear it. And I was like, I mean, I don't like my voice, but I'm not super upset about it. I can be confident. I'm not ashamed of this, whatever. But it's always like then when I hear it uh from another perspective, the addition of the lisp, but also the fact that it's less deep to others than it is to me, very like changes the vibe of the voice a lot. And so like when I hear my voice, it sounds like a different personality and it sounds like a worse one in my opinion. So I'm always like fucking I was barely okay with my voice and now you're displaying something worse. Fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. No. Okay.
But also, Drix, it's okay to just say it wrong. Like I still say Jorstin rather than Jortsin all the time.
Jorstin. I've heard that one lots. I my last name is Van der Sar. It's said exactly how it's spelled, but I've been called a billion things under the sun. I think my favorite one was one of my teachers wrote my name incorrectly as Van der Star. And
Mhm.
at one point I was like, "Is this a joke?" And eventually I was like, "Oh no, they just keep doing it. Like they probably just think that's how it's spelled." So
Dude, my grandma misspells my name on my birthday cards. And it's like different every time. It's not even one of those things where in your case it was Banner Star consistently,
yeah,
but she would spell it differently. There would be a different number of letters in my name every time. And she's not somebody who like that's her type of humor and it's an intentionally a bit or something like that. She just doesn't know how to spell my name, and it's a 5-letter name. It's not hard to spell.
it's not hard to spell. Also self docs. I mean I have my face. I'm showing my face. If that's not enough of a dox in this day and age, like I don't think anything else really matters. There's so many things that use your face for quote unquote security. Like I I'm already too far gone. I don't think it matters at this point.
Yeah. Also, Azzy and I recently, because he was talking about
I
security, and I
got
was like, "Oh, if somebody has your username, that is usually enough to find out everything about you."
exactly.
Uh,
Yeah.
and he was kind of like, "Ah, I mean, that's probably right, but also sounds wrong." And I was like, "It's so easy. There are sites where literally you plug in a username and it will find every connected account that uses or not a connected account, just like every account made on a commonly used site like Facebook, all the common games like Fortnite and League of Legends and whatever. And it'll say, here are all of the accounts that use that username.
Hmm.
And here is all of the publicly available information, like the email that are associated with those accounts. And oftentimes, you have Jortson as your name, but one of your accounts is like Jortson with the username, but your real name is the email that you use to sign up.
Yep.
And so like suddenly people knew your username, they have your real name, they have your Facebook account, they have whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. Like
Um
the thing with cybersecurity these days is not if it's out there and if it exists, it's only a matter of how malicious are people towards you specifically. And at the end of the day, if people want to, if someone decided to spin a wheel of random names and pick a person and like screw their whole life over, they can absolutely do that. That's like, and it's really just up to us as a society to prevent that from being the norm. And
it, it
to say like we are it's the prisoner's dilemma of safety basically. It's once you start doing that to everyone, then everyone is going to do that back to you. So
it's infinitely worse in the US as well because in Canada they can find like your name and using your name they can probably figure out a good amount. But in the US, if you have a name, you can find their street address. You can find every street address they've ever had, every phone number they've ever had, and it's really easy. There was one time a few years ago where a couple of friends and I, well, they approached me to help because they basically needed to report a child predator who they knew online.
he's
And so they're like, we need to figure out what police were reporting this to. Um, and I had never even like dabbled in this before. I had no idea where to start, and within 15 minutes of me trying for the first time, I had a complete address history of somebody I've never met or talked to, as well as the names and phone numbers of every person who currently lives in all of those addresses. Um, so yeah, the US is a fucking nightmare.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, U.S. I'm so glad to be Canadian. Like, sure, we're not necessarily that much better than the States, but every little thing that makes me Canadian, I'm so proud of. So, um, yeah.
I mean, 90% of Canadian pride is at least we're not the US.
Exactly. Yes. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. So, let's go. Not the worst. Woo!
It's like, yeah, I mean, we got capitalism, but at least we're not the US. I mean, yeah, we did a genocide, but at least we're not the US. Like,
At least we're sorry about it.
depending
Um,
on who you ask.
that's a whole other can of worms. Let's not open up that. That could get out of hand really quickly. But anyways, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really wanted to chat about in regards to the cube. I'm trying to also figure out what my plans are for this evening because um, we've been streaming for like almost 2 hours now. I don't know do you have any big time commits tonight, or is there anything else you really want to talk about, or we're like, oh, I'm so tired, my voice is killing me.
We hit all of the major topics I wanted to talk about. Um, I mean, if you want to go like super in depth, or if people in chat have questions, we could talk about specific mons in the style of like if there's no smoke cube profile for it, we can talk about what are the checks and counters in
I
the
feel
cube,
like
what are the recommended partners or things like that.
it might be a good idea to like get some more prep work done before we do that, because you did mention there's only a couple things on the smoke cube currently, because like
I know
Galissapod has a
Galissapod is
thing,
good.
Claydol has nothing, even though I feel like it should have a lot. That's one
Because
of the main spinners.
so the all of the mons that are on that list right now are all of the Pokemon that have access to a restricted move, as well as a couple that were added that we expected to be really strong.
Okay.
Um, so so there's a lot on there that we haven't started building a profile for, but that those were our kind of like um starting point. We wanted to have a profile for everything that has a restricted move, and we wanted to have a profile for the top 12 strongest Pokemon. So, because in theory, that would be the first 2 rounds of picks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, I spent many, many hours working on this document. The Smoke Cube profiles were not something that I was able to make a lot of leeway on.
Well, I mean,
And
I feel like this is a really good way to get some more community engagement. Like as someone who is you Mr. Streamer here, this is a great way to get some more community engagement. So I feel like if we end the stream shortly, like we've talked about everything we need to cover, but if we come back maybe like next week or later this weekend and say, hey, we had some time to make sure everything's settled, that we have some more information to share, we can kind of do like a lot more beginner friendly stuff. Oh my, you guys are really making me drink my water today. Holy.
Big Sippy.
And I know Rex was interested in joining. We are just sorting out some server side things for getting a bunch of people into the league as new residents. So I'm sorry that we can't get you the invite right now, Rex. We will get you that as soon as possible. We're just making sure we have everything sorted because we are an invite only league. Mostly just for security reasons. Nothing super like serious about it. But yeah, we like to make sure our community is here to have fun and here for the right reasons. And Pokemon is a great community, but there's also a lot of bad people out there, as we were mentioning earlier about having your identity stolen online. So, not accusing you of anything. It's just we got to make sure we're following
Yeah.
our procedures. And
The,
there's other lore
For
behind that. I won't get into it. It's not important. So
yeah. There's also an element of like earlier we talked about how I think this is a format where the more effort you put in, the more you get out of it. And as a general rule, we want to see people who are willing to put effort into the formats, into the community. And it's like, if you feel like something is too strong for the cube, are you going to start a discussion and talk about it, or are you going to bitch and complain about it?
it's me.
And
I'm gonna bitch and
so
complain.
and so the general rule in terms of like invite only is ideally we want to have a community where people are having discussions and like collaboratively working towards something rather than a community of people that are bitching and complaining and we got to make everybody happy because they're whiners.
Yeah, because in some of our league running history, we've definitely ran into that, and it was not pleasant. So, um, with that said, I'm gonna get ready to close up stream. I think what I do want to talk about briefly is if you have time, either you or Lucas or Azzy have time, maybe this weekend or next week, to talk about some of the more like nitty gritty stuff because this smoke cube page here, this is brilliant. I'm like, this is so beginner friendly. I've always been a huge advocate of designing draft leagues in a way that makes it interesting and engaging for new players, and this is exactly the type of thing that I never thought I needed until now.
Hmm.
And so I think it just needs a bit more work. So we got to do some like, I'll try to do some input behind the scenes on this, and I might also reach out to some of our veteran players, say like, hey, what do you think of this one? Do you want to write something up about it? Haha, do it, do it now.
Yeah. or
So
or even if people are just like they just write one, or, like they don't even ask us, they're just like, hey, we're gonna write one, and they send it. If we don't have something in that slot, even if it's like not a very good write-up, we can put it in there and then somebody else can see it and go, that's wrong, I'm gonna write a better.
oh no, it's gonna turn into like the Reddit of Pokemon descriptions.
Yeah, whatever. But also, quick thing about a Mega Obama Snow. If you notice, it's actually not in the cube anymore, and that is 1000% a blame Lucas moment. I
I think
we we
I peaked my
had
mic so bad. Oh my god.
we had Mega Obama Snow in the cube for approximately 90% of the creation process. And then at the end, it got cut.
Unfortunate, really. Um, dude, okay, so yeah, so we're gonna do some behind the scenes work. We will be back with some more information on some of the nitty gritty stuff in this cube. I think like it was so fun to talk to you about all of the like design philosophy to show off the doc, dude. I didn't know half the stuff on this doc. It's so cool. The player template, absolutely brilliant. Like you guys cooked on this, and the smoke cube is like I said earlier, the type of thing where I never knew I needed this until now. But now that I've seen this, I'm
Mhm.
like, why is this not always a thing? Like this is the number one way to get new players invested in draft, which is as much as like we drafters love to shit on the people who like don't know what they're doing. Uh, we love new players. Like we are always looking for new players, for new people that want to learn the game, who want to figure out like what's what. Like and like my class example is I got my partner in crime, Mr. Soup. Hashtag it's Pride Month. Uh, into draft during the PGA duo season, and since then, like listening to Mr. Soup's progression of like this is horseshit. How do you beat toxic? Has been so much fun for me to experience firsthand. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, we'll do some more prep work behind the scenes. We'll make sure that for anyone who is a new player to the league, that we have all the stuff on our end because it sounds like Rex is super excited and we would love to have that energy in the league. We just want to make sure that we know what our plans are as a mod team are for that. So I'm sorry, Discord kitten, you know, type shit. Um,
Uh, And for anybody, if you have feedback throughout the season, at the end of the season, or if at any point you are interested in writing Smoke Cube profiles or want to give feedback, or like even things that are like, oh, this would be a cool stat to track,
Actually,
let us
I'm
know.
actually going to use my mod privileges to help with this real quick. I'm making a channel for this. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, where like, there was many times during the design process where I'm like, hey, I've figured out these 7 stats that would be really cool to track per Pokemon. Is there anything else you guys can think of? Um and and there's going to be things that we missed, or just things that would be cool that nobody's ever tracked before, really, but that over the course of a few
I
seasons
know,
we
I
would
know. How
like
many
to be able to
times
see.
did the player bring their shiny variant of the Pokemon, you know?
Yeah. Or like, even we talked about, in terms of, because I mentioned earlier the pie chart breakdown of like how many times have Pokemon killed this guy. Even breaking it down a little bit differently, where like, okay, who didn't get the last hit? Who did the most percent to this Pokemon? Um, and different ways to track like that. We're really interested in seeing what kind of data we can bring and how much we can break down the balance of the cube and how to design the best checks and counters we can. If you guys have thoughts on like, this Pokemon could have toxic and not be a problem, or Scald is also a weird one because like all of the water types that in our cube are like either physical attackers or they're special attackers that just don't need Scald. And so it was like, who the fuck do we give this to that actually wants it? Um, so
Sorry,
yeah,
real
anyways,
quick, I have to slam dunk on Mr. Lime over here saying he should get Chat GPT to tell us why War Turtle was good. Real quick, I gotta pull this up because this is important self promotion. Does AI know how body press works? Does it? Oh, it's muted. GPT himself. What happens if you ask
I've
GPT?
never seen this
No.
clip. What
What
is
happens
this?
if GPT himself? What happens if you ask GPT? Let's go Gemini. Google Gemini. Let's see. I wanna know. This is a TARDIS clip. Does choice band boost the power of body press? Okay, before I finish the clip, do you know the answer to this?
It does boost it, yeah.
Okay, good. Ah.
I always love
The short answer is
how
no. It does not boost the
not
body
only is it
press.
wrong, but it gives you 5 fucking paragraphs.
So
It's like, why
wrong.
can you never just give me a short
Wrong.
answer?
Wrong. So the best part is I told it was wrong and then clicked off the tab, but it immediately tried to like double down on it. Hashtag owned.
Also,
The
I
clip
like how
ends there. There's a follow up clip that I have lost. I need to go back and find where it doubles down and says, actually no, it does do this. And I don't know why you're telling me I'm wrong when I'm not. So yeah.
dude,
So if you want to
average
get
draft
GPT to tell you
player.
how to draft War Turtle, brother, I would love to see how much information you can actually glean from that because I'm pretty sure it's gonna just straight up lie to you.
Dude, we should have Chat GPT as one of our drafters.
We already have. I'm
And
pretty sure Matt already signed up, so we're 50% of the way there. You know.
that's true. He signed up yesterday, I think.
Shoutouts to Overmat. Shoutouts to Overmat. That reminds me. Not only do we need to do some work for this draft league, I have some other streamer work I have to do for the other draft league I'm very close with. Because I've been delayed for like more than 2 weeks, I think, on making the NBA lineup for PGP. So I also have to go do that. I think this afternoon.
Hmm.
Featuring a lot of slander towards everyone's favorite GPT user, as well as some other veteran players in the format in the community. It's basically going to be those memes where it's just like a bunch of gifs with the song at 2x speed. I told you long ago on the road. It's gonna be that just as a
I
presentation.
I just want to point out you're describing how you're gonna talk shit, and then immediately went, "Yeah, I'm gonna talk shit with you know those things," and that's just not a strong start, my guy.
Okay, okay, wow. I didn't realize this is the Jortson slander stream. Damn. I'm not even playing in this. I'm just here for the shits. But uh that is also something I am in the works of is the Jortson slander whatever. Because I have an entire document of people wrote up in the style of Dracula Flow of things I should say on stream, and I have
Mhm.
not gotten remotely close to having that ready. And that was like a month ago or more. So shout outs to everyone who has been waiting for that and still shows up and still knows that it's never happening.
Shout out to the people that I disappoint on the daily.
Shout out to my parents. Actually, no, my parents are very proud of me. But
Hell yeah. Um, oh, but I guess one thing that I thought of that could be worth talking about a little bit is the cube, or specifically the cube rankings.
mhm, mhm.
One thing that we thought was potentially going to be really impactful on people's experience, because this is a really new format, but B, also a very effort dependent format. We figured that there would probably be a bigger disparity between experienced and inexperienced players,
Yes.
where so the idea was we wanted to say, like, we're collecting all this data, and we wanted the data to be relatively contextual. So, like, Overmat's a really strong player. If he happens to get a schedule where he's facing like the four weakest players type thing, the data from that is not very helpful, and also it's not a very good experience for those four players.
Oh yeah.
And
No, that's
so,
like I am number one uh defender of having skill based divisions. Um just because of how much less engaging the experience is when you start off by playing the Thanos of draft or the equivalent,
yeah,
right? So,
and that's we don't want it to be like strictly a skill based thing. I try to frame it as like, what level of challenge slash effort are you looking for?
mhm,
Because
mhm.
for example, there's going to be players who are very experienced, but they only want to put in 10-minute builds, so they should go a little bit lower. There's going to be players who are not very experienced, but want to have the biggest challenge available. They want to test their metal, and so it's not. I don't want to say it's a purely skill-based thing, because you're not going to be put in a cube against your will. But it is something where, on the sign up page, we ask you to kind of place yourself in a ranking. Um, and it is because we want to have a better experience. We want to have better data. We want to get you the level of challenge and effort that you are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so with that said, do you have any closing comments before I end stream here? Because I have some other stuff I have to sort out. I have to go make dinner and stuff.
Mhm.
And like going through this document, it's like, oh shoot, there's a bunch of work we have to do as the organizers of this um behind the
Yeah.
scenes. But any big
Um,
closing comments? Anything you want to say? Like, you better draft Cray Dilly or else, you know.
Closing comments is just, we've talked about a lot of stuff today. If you have any interest, whether that is in participating or in feedback or in helping, um, or you're even just confused about something and want help,
Or you want to blame
please
Lucas?
absolutely, definitely talk to us in the Discord, or send us a message. I'm always open to DMs if like you're not in the server, or if you want to just ask directly. Super open to feedback and explanations and conversations. If you have basically just if you have any interest, please get involved. We would love to have you, and we would love for you to get involved.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm a number one advocate for helping new players learn the ropes of draft. I've had multiple friends that I've introduced to draft leagues, and like I've been along their side while they discover what they do or don't like about the formats. And I think it's a wonderful way to experience Pokemon that honestly, I wish was more common. Like I'm the number one Pokemon draft pusher. I want people to be in this. I want people to know that they can play the game this way because um, it really combines the competitive aspects that make people enjoy, playing on ladder and playing on VGC and playing Showdown. But it also combines it with the aspects of Pokemon that aren't just sweaty try hard. I'm going to run the same team that will VGC run, and I'm gonna bash my forehead against a screen for an hour straight as I try to climb ladder. Uh, I think there's a lot to love and a lot to appreciate about draft, and I'm the number one draft glazer. So uh, absolutely, I will be trying to make more content related to this. Uh, I for those of you who haven't heard, I started a new job like the past couple weeks, and so that's been kind of like a new time balance for me. But I will be coming back strong with some more of your favorite draft league content. Hopefully later this weekend. We'll see how drunk I get on Saturday. So, um, but yeah, and I think that's pretty much it on my end. I may or may not be
Cool.
streaming again later tonight. I got to figure out what my plans are because tomorrow I'm busy and I have no idea what I'm doing on Sunday yet. So there's that. But I am hoping to have you or Lucas or Mr. Azzy back on stream as a guest to talk more about this. Um, because like the Smoke Cube page, I think this is peak. Like this is what I've been needing in my mentor mindset for draft leagues.
It's more peak if you click on Galissapod or Gallade,
I know,
because
yeah,
those
yeah,
are
yeah, yeah. Those
those
are
are
two
ones
that
with
you guys
actual
won't shut up
profiles.
about.
Well, I specifically those are two that I wrote recently, so they're the two that I know for a fact actually have a thing on them.
You have regular delayed on here. Oh, that's a
Dude, I'm
lot of note. You went all out on this. Nice.
Gallade is such a scary fucking mon. I'm worried about it, dude.
Well, I get
I'm
sharpness
worried.
now, right? So
You got sharpness.
like I did the calcs. Sharpness boosted Gallade moves are stronger than Mega Gallade. Um
Yep.
so granted,
It's
like Mega Glade's close combat I think is better than like um regular Glade's close combat, but yeah, it's a nightmare. It's very powerful.
yeah, it's scary as fuck, dude. But yeah, that's all for closing remarks for me. Thank you all for listening, and come join.
And with that said, I'm just double checking if there's someone worth raiding into. I don't really want to raid into Mango. I'm just gonna end stream because I might be live later. And I don't want to deal with raiding right now. I just need to get like dinner and all that jazz. But I will catch you guys on the flip side. Make sure if you are in my Discord server to harass me for being a Johnner. And also make sure to harass Kilehka for being a Johnner because this was supposed to happen on Tuesday. But like I was hoping to do some other Pokemon streams soon before then. So it's just our schedules were nightmarish. You know how it goes, right?
It do always end up that way.
But yeah, we will be back with more in the near future, and we're excited for everyone who has already signed up for the league and those who are still mulling it over, because like we've been working on this cube for like what 6 months, a year.
Been a long time in the making. Like
Yeah,
we've been actually starting on rules and building for at least 6 to 8 months. Yeah.
yeah, because I think it was like back we made the OTL as a league I think roughly a year ago, and then we had the conversation on cube like a few months after that. So
Well,
so
yeah, it would have been around a year because we talked about our first season being White Elephant for Christmas. And we talked about that like 6 months before Christmas, or at least like 3 months before Christmas. So that means,
Oh, dude, don't even get me started on the white elephant delays. That was
That's
brutal.
that's like 10 months right there.
Yep.
But anyways,
Okay, I'm gonna end stream. Thank you so much for our lovely community and our guest, Kilika, and I will see you on the flip side. Bye.
good night, bye everyone.